and thank you for joining me. I'm going to talk a little bit about listening. And so long as you aren't hearing impaired, you're probably thinking, what's she on about? I can listen, I listen. I listen to music, I listen to... Yeah, but I'm talking about listening to people. Actually listening and hearing. Okay, I suppose it's a skill that certainly as a counsellor, but also as a teacher, it's a skill that had to be well honed. If you've got children firing questions at you, or if you've got children making comments, especially in some of the inner city schools in which I worked, you had to listen very carefully to what they were saying, because very often hidden in there was a cry for help. So, yeah, that's probably coloured my thinking all along. So, how can we improve our listening skills? Well, we use what is called active listening. And that means you're not just sitting there looking around, thinking of what you're going to cook for tea, what you've got to get from the shops. You are focusing on the person, but you're not staring scarily at them. You are giving them eye contact, but allowing your eyes to move a little bit as well, but not far away from them. You have to allow silence as part of that active listening. A silence in which you don't feel that you have to jump straight in and offer suggestions. The other person could be thinking how to frame something that might be hard for them to say. So allow time. And as well as not looking around, ask questions for confirmation if you're not sure what's been said. I mean, one of the things that's an obvious example, when I was working as a counsellor, people would, this was when I was working with people who had been hurt, abused, that they would say, for example, I'll just use one name that instantly jumps to mind. Chris did this, Chris said that, Chris. Okay, Chris could be male, could be female, could be trans, could be, I don't know what. But you need to be aware of that. If you know the person, then you probably are. But if it's someone that isn't well known to you, you need to check, because otherwise you could say, oh, why, what did he do? What did she say? And they could think, well, they weren't actually listening. You were listening, but you hadn't quite understood because they hadn't told you properly. But make that into a listening, hearing problem rather than a talking problem. Use your body as well. Nod occasionally rather than saying yes. And one thing I find really mega annoying that will stop me talking is if I'm saying something and the person who is supposed to be listening comes in with, yeah. That just makes me stop talking, full stop, and I won't start again. I just see that as rude, overpowering, controlling, bullying. Don't want to know, thank you. So don't do that, but nod or shake your head. Ask for confirmation. Ask for affirmation. But at the start of this, I had been housebound for quite a while with my mental health being in a poor state. And I managed to get myself out for a little stroll. And I saw a neighbour, and I really didn't want to see anybody, but she said, "Oh, hello, how are you?" And I just said, "I'm actually not so very good." "Oh, well, and off she went. And off I went back home with tears flooding down my face, because it had actually taken courage to say that rather than say the usual dismissive, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm okay." So listen to the music, listen to the body language. Are they contradicting themselves unknowingly? If you say, how were you that day? Were you okay? Yeah, I was fine. And they will often do that, saying no and nodding, or yes and shaking their head. But that's sort of an unconscious action. So that should put you on your guard. And I think that these days we need more people who are willing and are able to listen to people, because there's a lot of problems out there, a lot of people who need someone to talk to. And if you can do the listening bit effectively, then you could open the door to them actually plucking up the courage to take things further and maybe go and have counselling if they need to. So use your listening skills. Use them wisely. Don't stop them if they're crying. I once went to a therapist when I was having my big dip time, and this therapist said, "Oh," I burst into tears when he asked me how I was. And his comment was, "Well, I can't work with you if you're going to just cry." Thank you. Another up sticks and off I went. So listening and watching someone cry can be very difficult, but just let them know that you are there. Offer a tissue. Maybe ask if they would like a glass of water, if you have things available, if they're in their home or your home or somewhere. But don't start firing questions at them whilst they are tearful. Let them get the tears over and done with. So there we are, a few clues about listening effectively in order to help people. And as I say, it's something that we all assume that we can do because we can hear, but it isn't necessarily so. I have included a link underneath to a piece I recorded about 2 years ago now on talking and listening. So if you've got a spare few minutes, check that one out as well. So thank you for joining me. Take care. And if you can offer a listening ear to somebody, you will be helping that person along their way. but don't interject with your own stuff. Do the listening. Keep that closed. It might be picking up things for you that you are remembering, but at that point when somebody is just telling you about their problems, they don't want to be burdened with yours as well. That can come later, maybe using it as an example, but not when you are first listening. Off I go. Thank you so much for listening. I will speak to you again soon. Take care. Bye for now. Bye.